All right, let's move on to this is my favorite category. I saved it for the last. I know that there was like some interesting stuff up to this point, but this is my favorite category because this is like these programs, they're so close. They need one small fix. Everything else is in shape. It's ready. It's ready to win a conference, go to the playoff, like reach all your wildest expectations. But they've got this one area where they've got to fix it. So these are the first year new faces brought in to fix specific issues. Let's start with Notre Dame. Sam Hartman. He comes in to be the quarterback at Notre Dame. And you look at what Notre Dame was last year, and it's like, yep, they desperately need a fixer in this one area. They were pretty good all around the quarterback. Notre Dame was 98th in the country in passing last year, 207 yards per game, and an offense that was pretty run-heavy, right? 14th most run-heavy offense in the country. That has to turn around. Hartman comes in, 45 career starts, highly experienced player, set the ACC record for touchdown passes, 110 touchdown passes, that slow mesh offense that they run at Wake Forest. And like, if he can fix this offense, then Marcus Freeman has got something. Now, they've got a tough schedule. That's why I put them all the way at number 5. But this is one area on a really good team. They got a great offensive line. I like what they bring back on defense. I believe in Notre Dame. Yes, they've got to replace their offensive coordinator and Tommy Rees. They got to figure, but they brought in a fixer. They are upgraded at a position that they had to upgrade on. So Sam Hartman there at Notre Dame. Number 4, here's a team that is, I think, under everybody's radar. Although, I had them in the top 15, remember, in my top 25 to start the year. Oregon State. I think that we have to, as college football fans, we have to think about what Oregon State was and what they weren't. So DJ Uiagalelei is going to transfer to Oregon State. First-year quarterback up there. Should be noted, hasn't necessarily won the job. I still think he's going to win the job. They were a really good team last year. Like sneaky, really, really good. They were 10-3, first off, if you don't know that. And if you don't, get with it. 2 of those 3 losses, 2 of the 3, were a 3-point loss to USC and a 3-point loss at Washington. Those are forgivable. In particular, when you look at what they actually were. In conference play, Oregon State's quarterbacks, this is crazy. 10-3 team, lost by 3 to USC, 3 to Washington. Their quarterbacks in conference play threw a grand total, 8 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. And they went 10-3. It's one area. They can run it. I'm telling you, they're going to be Damian Martinez. I really like him. This has all the handwriting for a team that's going to be tough, hard-nosed, tough to beat, kind of a new school Utah in the Pac-12. They just need a quarterback. Similar to how Utah took the next step when Cam Rising came to town and he solidified them on the offensive side. That was a team that scored 38 points per game a year ago, right? As one of the quietly better offenses in college football. We always said if Utah got anything from their quarterback, they were going to be really good. They've been to back-to-back Rose Bowls. Well, guess what? If Oregon State gets anything from their quarterback, that's how good they are, because they're good everywhere else. Jonathan Smith is one of the best coaches in America. I know they don't have a conference moving forward, but you know what? Jonathan Smith is going to have a home somewhere because this guy can coach. You know how when they say, you hear someone and you're like, man, that guy can sing. Right? Well, Jonathan Smith can coach. He is what they call a football coach in Jesse. So Oregon State, DJ Uiagalelei, I'm in for it. If he fixes them just a little bit at the quarterback position, to watch out, they're good enough to win the Pac-12. All right, number 3. I smirk. Why do I smirk? You're going to find out really quickly. Speaking of a team that just needs competent quarterback play. Competent offensive play. Iowa. Cade McNamara comes in to be the quarterback at Iowa. What would Iowa have been over the last 2 years if they could just play a little bit of offense? Just a little bit. McNamara now no longer has to look over his shoulder at the 5-star quarterback behind him. He is an upgrade. Now, I've said this once. I will continue to say this. Iowa, do the right thing. Get rid of this ridiculous barrier of the 24 points per game that the offense has to score in order for Brian Ferentz to keep his job. It's silly. It's absolutely silly. The goal of the game is not to go out and score 24 points. The goal of the game is to win. So if you want to win 18-7, win 18-7. If you need to win 34-32, win 34-32. Okay, it's not about some arbitrary line in the sand in order for a guy to keep his job because his dad won't fire him, blah, 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 blah. Okay, take that away from Cade McNamara. That should not be Cade McNamara's focus. His focus should just be improving the quarterback position at Iowa, which if you do, watch out. Watch out. Last year, Iowa's defense allowed more than 13 points in, you know how many games? Three games all year. And they still lost 5 games. How is that possible? How is that possible? Iowa's offense, just the offense, not defense or special teams or anything like that. They scored 14 points per game last year. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Cade's coming in to fix something that's a very specific problem at a program that's going to play good defense. They're going to play good special teams, and they're going to be competitive. Last year, the division, I think they should win the division. Why? Because they should be upgraded at the only position that they need to be upgraded in. First-year fixer, Cade McNamara. Next, group. It's a group. Defensive transfers at USC. All the things I've just said about all these other guys, DJU, Cade McNamara, Sam Hartman, it fits for the group of transfers on the USC defense. You have one thing to fix at USC. One. Defense. If you can't play defense, you will not go to the playoff. Not in that conference, not against a team like Washington, not against a team like Oregon, not against a team like Oregon State, and not against a team like Utah. You won't. USC was absolutely allergic to tackling last year. Allergic. Like an allergic 3-year-old that's like got a nut allergy and it's a birthday in a classroom. And like the mom walks in and it's like, oh, Billy, don't touch the cookies. I've got a Rice Krispie treat for you. That's how allergic they were to tackling. They had a peanut allergy to tackling. It was atrocious. So now all these guys come in, right? First-year fixers, new faces. If USC plays just competent defense, you don't have to be world beaters. You don't have to lead the Pac-12 in defense. You don't have to be second in the Pac-12 in defense. You don't have to be third in the Pac-12 in defense. You don't have to be fourth in the Pac-12 in defense. You can be fifth. Yeah, that's fine. Just competent. If they're competent, they can go to the playoff. That's all. That's all. Now, I will say this. It's not all just on Alex Grinch, the defensive coordinator, and these new faces on the defense, and namely the defensive line, Bear Alexander, these transfers, a lot of them from the SEC. It's not just on them because this has been a pattern for Lincoln Riley, right? I mean, they with Baker Mayfield go to a playoff game and lose to Georgia like 54-48, wasn't it? Something like that in that Rose Bowl in the overtime. Couldn't stop the Wildcat, Sony Michel. Like, this has been a pattern for Lincoln Riley. So this is as much on Lincoln Riley as it is on Alex Grinch or any of these defensive transfers. But if USC just plays competent defense, as long as you don't have a peanut allergy to tackling, you can go to the playoff. You can go to the playoff. By the way, donuts. If you got kids in elementary, take donuts. It's the easiest, right? Because guess what? You don't mess with the peanut allergy. Take glazed donuts. Glazed donuts, huge hit on birthdays in elementary. That's just free advice. That wasn't even mailbag, so you're welcome. Last one. My most interesting, and I teased it at the beginning and I saved it for the very last. First year fixer, and this one, whoo, folks, I'm big on this team. I really am. I think that this is a playoff team in my mind if if this guy fixes this side of the ball. Garrett Riley, new offensive coordinator at Clemson. If you look at what Clemson has been over the last 2 seasons, Clemson is not getting it done on offense. 51st in scoring, 96th in yards per play offense from 2015, over the course of the last 2 seasons. If you look at what they were during their height, right? So they start getting to the playoffs, they start competing for and winning national championships from like 15 to 2020. They went to 6 straight playoffs. They were 4th in scoring and 6th in yards per play. They've taken a drastic step backwards on the offensive side. Now enter Garrett Riley. He's there to fix a specific issue. Now, namely speaking, when you give me a Riley, Lincoln, or Garrett, one, I know their quarterback is going to have one hell of a year. How do I know that? Well, let me just throw some numbers at you here. I got them. Don't worry. I got them right here. Riley quarterbacks. Okay. Garrett Riley has had Shane Buechele. He was 10th in the country in passing, over 300 yards per game. He then had Tanner Mordecai. This was at SMU. 10th in the country in passing, over 300 yards per game. Then you look at what he did with Max Duggan, 2nd in the Heisman, Big 12 Player of the Year. So that's Garrett Riley's quarterbacks. Then what has Lincoln Riley's quarterbacks done? Well, Baker Mayfield finished 4th, 3rd, and then was the Heisman winner. Then the next year, a first-year quarterback in Kyler Murray won the Heisman. Then Jalen Hurts has to transfer away from Alabama. What does he do? Finishes 2nd in the Heisman. He had Spencer Rattler, who did not play all that well, but then he had Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams, what does he do? Heisman winner. If you give O'Reilly, a competent quarterback, he's going to turn them into something. I think Cade Klubnik is a competent quarterback. Also, by the way, when you give a Riley a solid running back option like Shipley at Clemson, boy, watch out. Just like Kendry Miller was for Max Duggan a year ago at TCU, I think Garrett Riley and his offensive system, it fits. It fits at Clemson. That's a very specific issue that they have had. And for my money, that's the most important coaching addition in all of college football, because that's a team that's talented enough and has the DNA to go out there, win their conference, and go to the college football playoff. Their toughest matchups are at home, including Florida State. That's a Florida State team, by the way, that they own and probably should beat again. And Garrett Riley is there, and if he takes a step forward with that offense, then watch out. Then Clemson is going to be right there. That's my favorite category. Those fixers, man, they are so interesting. If those 5 individuals or groups of people fix those specific issues at those programs. Sam Hartman, quarterback at Notre Dame. DJ Uiagalelei, quarterback at Oregon State. Cade McNamara, offense/quarterback at Iowa. USC defense. And Garrett Riley, the offensive coordinator at Clemson. If those things get fixed, all of those programs are going to be really, really special. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. And you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.